We are Thompson and the Beards. This is our Limnology project. This amazing team is made up of Emma, Kevin, and of course, Warren. This production is an educational tool to show the world of dangers of invasive species. Invasive species can play a detrimental role on any aquatic system and come in a wide variety of shapes and sizes. The species explored in this video is called Eurasian watermilfoil and is currently dominating waterways in North America. Some people, mostly Warren, have described it as an aquatic holocaust.
Eurasian watermilfoil is a submerged aquatic angiosperm, classified as an invasive species. Eurasian watermilfoil is the only species of milfoil which is not native to North America. The plant itself has a long stem, with feather-like leaves growing out in circles in groups of 3 to 5 along its length. Once the plant has grown long enough to reach the surface, tiny reddish flowers grow on spikes that bloom in late July to early August. Its ability to replace other macrophyte species through competition and rapid effective dispersal are major factors in this species' success.
When compared with one of the native species, the northern watermilfoil has rigid feather-like leaves forming a Christmas tree shape. The leaflets are clumped in pairs of 7 to 10 per leaf and are usually stiff when out of the water, where Eurasian watermilfoil's leaves are limp. The stem of the northern watermilfoil is white to whitish green in color. The native North American variety of this plant reproduces at much slower rates when compared to the Eurasian species. In the autumn months, the native plant drops buds called turions, which remain dormant over the winter, then begin growing in the spring.
As you'll find out later, the invasive non-native version of this plant acts very differently, making the native plants much less threatening than their invasive brother. Eurasian watermilfoil originally comes from Europe, Asia, and Northern Africa. Eurasian watermilfoil may have been introduced into North America by way of boats in Chesapeake Bay. It is difficult to specifically say when it showed up since it looks very similar to the native variety, but records show it being here as early as 1950. By 1985, it had spread all across America and into Canadian provinces. This is in part due to it being sold as a decorative plant for aquariums and ponds. From there, it was only a matter of time before super helpful people began dumping it in local lakes, allowing it to spread.
Watermilfoil begins growing in the spring and sends its stems towards the surface. The plant can either expand via a creeping horizontal root known as a stolon, or it can grow using fragments. Fragmental production is when a seedling able of producing a brand new colony breaks off of the parent plant. Stolon production can account for 74% of a colony's growth. Fragments are not as quite successful in creating new colonies, but still manage to establish new colonies in the substrate of the system 46% of the time. These fragment colonies can then send out their own stolons, which rapidly increases expansion.
When trying to determine what types of lakes are at risk, seemingly only two characteristics make a large difference. The first difference appears with the amount of phosphorus in the water. There is a sharp increase in dominance with the increase of phosphorus in the water column from oligotrophic lakes to mesotrophic lakes.
When the nutrients meet phosphorus levels indicative of a hypereutrophic lake, Eurasian watermilfoil populations decrease.
The second characteristic which typically defines a lake's vulnerability is its rating on the Carlson's Trophic State Index. The index rates the trophic levels of aquatic systems. Eurasian watermilfoil tends to dominate in the 35 to 70 range. These two characteristics can be used to identify potential lakes at risk of Eurasian watermilfoil invasions.
Once Eurasian watermilfoil reaches the surface, it begins to spread out and create a vast canopy, This canopy shades everything beneath it, severely limiting the photic depth.
Aquatic plants and phytoplankton that rely on this light die off and decompose into the sediment, supplying more nutrients for the water milfoil to expand.
Despite the fact that water milfoil exercises photosynthetic processes similar to other macrophytes, dissolved oxygen levels beneath the canopy are much lower than that of an open canopy system. Due to decreased surface water mixing, the decreased photosynthetic activity from native plants and phytoplankton, and the increased DO demand from elevated decomposition in the substrate, DO levels in the water decrease. Temperature beneath the canopy are much lower since the sun cannot penetrate as deep as normal. In areas above the canopy, water can become stagnant, allowing for the propagation of mosquito larvae.
As water milfoil breaks down from being consumed by native aquatic species, plant matter rises to the surface. This can result in elevated phosphorus levels due to bacterial decomposition.
Benthic invertebrate are tiny critters that live in and around the bottom of lakes. Water milfoil affects the benthic invertebrates by supplying certain species, immature insects, gnatid worms, and leeches with an abundance of shelter and an abundance of food. Species lacking their preferred native plants are unable to thrive in the aquatic system, which may affect species further up the food chain.
As previously mentioned, Eurasian water milfoil creates a vast canopy at the water surface that disrupts other vegetation's access to sunlight. Without access to the sun, any existing or growing plants will die off, allowing the water milfoil to expand even faster than normal. Since Eurasian water milfoil can reproduce through both stolons and fragmentation, native macrophytes in the immediate area are not the only ones at risk. Fragments can be transported downstream or travel to new areas via recreational vehicles that do not get clean. This leaves many systems at risk of contamination. Eurasian water milfoil generally plays a detrimental role on fish populations. When water milfoil colonies become too dense, it disrupts the swimming of pelagic fish. This allows for the sheltering of far too many younger fish and replaces native plants that act as a food source and shelter for aquatic organisms. When certain food sources start to disappear, the fish populations will also see a decline. One of the few beneficial situations the Eurasian milfoil creates is when a system is already too turbid to support any native species. Everything negative water milfoil does in a healthy system becomes a positive for fish and invertebrates in an area with no native plants. On two popular lakes in Vermont that are populated by many cottages and are commonly used for recreational purposes, dense Eurasian water milfoil infestations have interfered with swimming, boating, and fishing. As the plant invades a lake, the waterfront property values can diminish by up to 16%. That is a huge amount of money that no one wants to see vanishing from an investment as large as a waterfront cottage. Eurasian water milfoil is highly susceptible to 2,4-dichlorophenoxyacetic acid, but only for a short period of time. Regrowth can occur within 6 weeks to 1 year of application because the formula is unable to maintain phytoxic herbicide levels for extended periods of time. In Canada, the only 2,4-D register for use is known as AquaClean. Plants tend to die within hours of exposure to the herbicide, but their effectiveness is altered in colder, muddy waters with lower photic depths. The application of herbicides could negatively affect aquatic fauna or the quality of the water itself by depleting oxygen from decaying plants and indirectly killing fish. A herbicide called fluoridone was tested on water milfoil in a variety of dosages and durations. For all dosages, growth was inhibited and biomass was reduced by 70 to 98% following a 30, 60, and 90-day treatment. However, after the 30 or 60 days, the water milfoil was able to recover. Only in the 90-day treatment was the water milfoil successfully eliminated. This is an interesting study because it shows water milfoil's resilience and the time required to properly treat an outbreak.
A 12-year study was conducted along the vicinities of the north and south edges of Lake Cayuga in New York State due to a noticeable decline in Eurasian water milfoil population. The relative biomass of water milfoil in Cayuga Lake ranged between 58 and 95% in the early 1970s and 1980s and declined to nearly 10% in 1998. The cause of this decline was concluded to be the result of two herbivore species, the aquatic moth and the aquatic weevil. As the relative biomass of waterfoil decreased, the population of the two aforementioned herbivores increased. The native aquatic weevil has become known as a biocontrol agent of Eurasian water milfoil by mining plant stems. Weevils consume the stems, which have long-term effects by disrupting plant carbohydrate stores, which are essential for milfoil survival throughout the winter and subsequent regrowth.
The aquatic weevil species at all stages of its life cycle proved to cause damage to the invasive plant and could be used in other aquatic environments as a control mechanism. In the summers of 1993 and 1994, over 20,000 weevils were released into Lake Bomoseen at 3 different sites and then monitored the following year. The results presented indicate lower biomass of the Eurasian water milfoil at the weevil introduction sites, suggesting this technique to be a strong biological control mechanism for the invasive plants.
In 3 Eurasian water milfoil infested lakes in the Kawartha region, the milfoil suddenly disappeared for no apparent reason. A wide array of physical and chemical tests were done that did nothing to explain the disappearance. In the end, it was determined that an aquatic moth was responsible for decimating the milfoil population. The moth was a voracious eater and didn't discriminate between native plants or the Eurasian milfoil.
Many necessary steps have been made to halt the Eurasian water milfoil's progress over the years, from banning it as a decorative plant to the use of herbicides and the introduction of biological controls such as weevils. The future looks promising.
So long as humans are vigilant and proactive, great changes can be made.
People are becoming more and more aware of the importance of the environment and our water sources, so hopefully we will soon have this problem under control.
More information about Eurasian water milfoil and other invasive species can be found at the Ontario Resources Government webpage. There you can find a database and mapping system for all of the invasive species in the province of Ontario. This concludes the educational portion of our presentation. Thank you for your time, and please enjoy this dramatic reenactment of a Eurasian water milfoil invasion.
Look how cute my teachers are. Oh my god, I love his eyebrows. What is that? Do you think it's an invasive species? Wait here, I'll check it out. It could be dangerous. No, Emma! No!
Sweet, succulent, milf.
Oil.
Where? Milf.
Oil.
Milf.
Oil.
Milf.
Oil.
Milf. Milf. Five-fold dilf me get no milf.
Oil.
Sad monster. Milf. Milf.
Oil.
Milf.
Oil. 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 Oil.
Me down! My friend's an invasive species technician!
No one will save you, Milf.
Stop right there! Awareness!
Ah!
Education!
No! No!
Empowerment! I'm from the NBC, bitches!
No! 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 No!
Dun dun dun!
No MILFs were harmed in the making of this video.